Hey everybody, welcome back. It's good to see you. I'm hanging out with Dan Zitofsky today, and we're going to talk all about private money because during coronavirus, it's going to create all brand new opportunities down the road. And what you should be working on right now is relationships, your network, and getting ready to prime the pump with a lot of private money. That is going to be the key to success in the new economy that's coming up. And that is why we've been focusing on it on our podcast recently. And Dan's one of the best guys to do that. So I'm super excited to have him on. If you don't know Dan or you haven't connected into his Facebook group and become a real estate investor with Dan Zitofsky, let me tell you a little bit about him because he's done a ton of deals like myself, several hundred or thousand. He's done over 800 fix and flips, 650 rental properties, 800 plus stores in multi, and over 1,000 private money deals. He also does non-performing notes. So he does it all. And he coaches real estate investors really at all levels, which is a unique thing and a really awesome thing to give back. He loves to give. And he's also got a great cheat sheet. And we're going to make that link available down below as well. So Dan, welcome. How you doing?
Great, Jim. Thanks so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know you have a great audience and you put a lot of good content out there. And I love to, I always believe in give to get, and I like to align myself with people like yourself and your group and your audience and give back as much as I could, especially during these times.
Well, yeah, and these times are very interesting, aren't they? I'm kind of following it frame by frame, but 30 plus million people unemployed is going to make an impact. And some people have their head buried in the sand. They just think life's going to continue as it always has, but I don't believe that to be the case.
Right. And I don't like to play the good. I'm not somebody who plays doom and gloom. I don't, I know they say that never waste a good pandemic on a business. I want everybody to be safe. I want everyone to be okay. I want everyone to maintain and save their homes that they've worked so hard for. But the fact of the matter is just that it's just what's going to happen. We see what's going on. I'm very in tune with the back end of this business on the note space because I acquire a lot of my deals. And I speak to a lot of asset managers, and a lot of asset managers have already come to us and said, listen, this is what we're seeing coming third quarter. It's what we're seeing coming fourth quarter, all the way through 2022. And believe it or not, we recently in 2019 got out of the multifamily game. And now we're being told that, we're going to see multifamily assets at 50, 60 cents on the dollar right now. On the note space. So we're going to be buying them on the non-performing note space. And the only way to do these type of deals is to have private money. And, being through a couple market cycles, doing this almost 30 years now, as you've been in it a while too. And that last market cycle, 2006 through 8 into 9, I was equity rich and I was very cash poor. And I didn't have the ability. I was using hard money lenders and banks, and I didn't have the ability to move quick enough or to even get deals. When the hard money lenders pulled their money or pulled their funding because of Wall Street in 2009, I was done. I was like, I didn't know what else to do. And that's when really it started for me. That's when I really learned how to raise private money. I swore at that point, I could tell what happened later on. I swore at that point in 2009, I will never base my business on a hard money lender or bank ever again, even though I do use banks. But because you don't have a business if you base your business on hard money lenders or banks. You need to learn how to raise private money. And if you don't, you're going to miss out on a tremendous transfer of wealth coming in the next 6 months to a year. Like it or not, it's happening. It's happening. I mean, I see banks they're changing things up, thank God, because, I saw a lot of investors like with their claws out, just ready to attack, because what they were doing with these the loan deferments is they were saying, okay, you can defer your mortgage for 3 months, but people didn't understand come month 4, those 3 months plus month 4 were due, and you weren't going to be able to get modifications if you had one in the past. Now they're at least coming up. Fannie and Freddie are coming out. There's a new bill coming out where Fannie and Freddie are going to let you defer your payments for up to 12 months, 6 months at a time, up to 2 times. There's qualifications to get that approved, and it's not finalized yet. I think I saw by July 1st it's going to be finalized. But at least they're allowing you to put the mortgage payments at the end, non-interest bearing. That has to be paid off when you sell your house or refinance, because I do feel terrible for people that have worked so hard to keep their houses, and this pandemic has caused this. Now, on the other side, I'm hoping that people open their eyes and say, you know what, it's so important to have a reserve account, whether you're an investor or a homeowner. And I'm hoping that people understand it's scary that even businesses, they're 2 months without business and they're ready to shut the doors. Investors, 2 months, even if you didn't get rent for 2 months, you're shutting the doors. That's scary. That means they didn't learn the right way. They didn't learn about reserves. They didn't learn about the rainy day fund. And I'm hoping that opens eyes for people. But I do think we're going to pull out of this, okay? The people that learn how to raise private money are going to be able to, right now it hasn't set in yet. Like you said, Jen, it hasn't set in yet. I think it's going to set in here on the next, if this pandemic keeps going, and even if everything opens back up and then it shuts down again, that's when the real issues are going to hit. So I think people during these last 2 months, I don't know about you, but I've worked harder in these last 2 months. I think I've worked in a 2-month period in the last 10 years.
It's all about relationships. But, like you, I went, I started investing full time, I think in 2005 or whatever it was, somewhere in there, right?
Perfect timing, Jim.
All right. So yeah, great timing. So, what I remember is, bank financing sort of evaporated. Wholesalers also went away, by the way, but the deals became so easy. You could just, it was like going to a restaurant, just ordering them off the menu, just buy them right off the MLS for a while there.
Right.
That's exactly when I started to figure out how to do private lending, both debt financing and equity financing, and that really made a huge difference. So if you're brand new to this, if this is your first recession, take a lot of notes today, because you're going to have to buckle up and do some things different, but it is an amazing opportunity that could be coming up. And that's what I'm waiting to see is, like, when does that start and how long does it last? Nobody's got the actual crystal ball, but something's going to change.
Well, you're 100% right. And like I said, it's in a way, if you're an investor, it's a great time to be in, because you're going to learn the right way. I think since 2000, from 2012 until 2020, investors, unfortunately, were learning the wrong way, right? Yeah. Everybody did a few deals and became a guru. Nobody, and I always said, show me somebody who lasted through the last recession or even failed during the last recession. I give credit to those people who failed and came back, filed bankruptcy and came back. I was fortunate enough. I didn't have to do that. I've always been kind of conservative as an investor and never chased those cyclical markets. But if you learn the right way today, you will come out of this, I can promise you, way ahead of where people have been over the last 10 years, because they've now come through this. But the problem is, everyone gets in this game because they see this get-rich-quick scheme. They see all these gurus putting how fast you can make millions of dollars in this business. And even when I mentor students on raising private money, they all understand that this is not a get-rich. Yes, you will raise money in the first 30 to 90 days. But to really build yourself a business of consistent, positive income coming in on velocity and using that money in velocity, like over and over and over again, that's where it becomes fun. That's where it becomes where you can pick and choose what you want to do. The biggest problem we have is finding quality deals over finding quality money. And that's when we ask people, we ask 3 questions to get in our group. And one of those questions are, what are the biggest issues you have? And the top answers, over 90% of the answers, have all to do with funding and private money. That's the biggest issue. It's not generally deals, not generally how to do business. It's how to get money, how to fund my deals. And that's why it's so important now to figure out your business, really put together a rock solid business, and to put together private money the right way. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. That's just, they don't treat this like a business. And I don't understand that. That drives me insane when people do not treat this like a real business and they try to shortcut things. Because if you don't shortcut things in this business, you build a great foundation, just like you build a house. The first thing is the foundation. And once you build that foundation where people trust you and they want to fund your deals, they want to partner with you on your deals, everything else from there is just growth. Then you can focus on how to find there's a million places to find deals, from banks to sellers, to wholesalers, to subject to type deals, to rentals, to multifamilies, to mobile home parks, to storage facilities, to assisted living. There's everything out there. You could pick a niche that works for you. But if you don't have private money, it's going to be really, really tough, because you don't control your business. Something like this happens, and a hard money lender will turn around and say, well, instead of wanting 10% down, we want 30% down, and we want you to bring 12 months reserves with you in payment. And a lot of people don't have that. And I credit them for doing that, because they're protecting their investors, which are Wall Street. But because I also see a lot of private money's getting burnt. Private money lenders getting burnt today because even private money lenders, we've even taught them how to be lenders now because they don't know. They don't know the legal paperwork. They don't know due diligence. So even if you want to be a private money lender yourself, you should understand the business, right? You don't want to trust somebody that's done no business, might not be looking out for your best interest. You want to make sure you're protected and your money's protected. And as a borrower, the most important thing you could ever do is to protect your private money lender. That's before you make a dollar, your private money lender needs to be protected. And when they feel that you look out for them, then you're golden. Then you're absolutely golden. I mean, we like for instance, when we do our private money lender meetings, we have a brochure, right? And we give these to our potential lenders. It's a 2-page brochure, if you can see it here, with all frequently asked questions. So we hand this out to them, and it shows that everything we do is not how much money we make, it's how we're looking out for them. Now, how many people are doing stuff like this, giving brochures to people and actually showing their lenders, what do I do? God forbid I get hit by a truck. How is your money protected? Okay, what legal docs am I giving you? Every investor out there seems to be looking out for themselves and not their lenders. And that's why they have so much trouble raising money, is because they don't give to get. And you always got to give to get. And if you treat your lenders like that, they will be forever grateful to you and forever part of your team.
Yeah, I agree. It all starts with giving, and I really like the way you said that. And what I've found, Dan, over the years is using private lenders is once you get through the first deal or two, then they're really scrambling to find more private capital. I've worked with people that I didn't think had very much, and all of a sudden the checkbook opens and there's a lot more there because you communicate, you perform, and you teach them what you do along the way and how you protect them. And the rest of it gets pretty easy. But I'm also glad you talked about due diligence from the private lender side, and because it reminds me of a post David Phelps put into my group this week. He talked about almost the exact same thing you just said. He said, everybody's a genius in an up market. And then he quoted Warren Buffett and said, you find out who's out there without their bathing suit on when the tide goes out, and it's not a pretty picture, but there are people that are like that. They're over leveraged. They don't know how to do the right deal to protect their lender. And that's really where the foundation starts. Like if the house burns down, how are you protected? If I die, what happens? All those questions you just went through.
Where everybody else looks at how much money they're going to make, I'm as much as people know who I am, and as much as how positive I am, and all the our podcast that we're going to be starting, we're working on it now. We're recording episodes, and it's all about positive mindset and getting over humps and hurdles and goals and
self-limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about that, then I look at a deal, and everything inside of me in that deal becomes the engineer, and all the reasons I can screw it up, and how do I protect. And I never even look, before I even look at how much money I make. And I tell this to my students all the time, is how do we make sure that no matter what happens, that we have strategies that we can protect our lenders. And that's why we don't get in deals that are very, very expensive, that don't work on a rental game. They don't work on a seller finance game. Because worst case scenario, if we go to do a property, and even if I was a fix and flipper still, which I only do a couple fix and flips a year now, I have to make sure that worst case scenario, I can take that property and rent it in a good emerging market with good quality jobs, infrastructure, schools, stuff like that. Or I could seller finance it. I want to make sure that no matter what, I'm not over leveraged on that property. I want to make sure that if I'm using the BRRRR method, that if banks don't finance me at the end of the deal, that I can still rent that property out and still be able to pay my lender the promised interest rate that I've mentioned to them. I don't guarantee anything, obviously, and that's very important to understand. You don't ever guarantee anything in this business other than how you mitigate the risk. But I want to make sure that I can cover the interest rate that I promised them on this deal, because we're raising money to buy pools of assets, and we're raising it at 6 to 8% for 3 to 5 years. So if I have to hold these properties in a portfolio and rent them, I'm okay. I'm still making positive income. I know the vacancy factor. I know the reserve factor. I'm still covered. And that's the most important thing. And if I don't make $1 for 3 years on these properties, it's okay. It's fine. As long as my lenders are taken care of, as long as I protect them, as long as something, God forbid, happens to me, they have the property with equity. I don't over leverage those properties. I always want to make sure they're protected first. And if you do that and your lenders feel that, you'll never have to worry about raising money, because they're going to tell everyone and their mother how great you are at the next party, because they have the hero syndrome, right? I have the best guy. Everyone has the best guy or gal, and that's what you're going to be. And they're going to do all the work for you.
So if somebody's listening and they hear all this talk about relational capital and network and all this stuff that's so important, but they've never done their first deal with private money, how would you recommend they begin the conversation and discussions to find that very first private lender?
Well, they got to make sure that they have done their due diligence. When I say the due diligence, they have to put everything in place. For instance, they want to have a team in place. Okay, if I'm going to give you money, who's going to handle the job? What do you do? Tell me who you are and what you do. All right. So I would put together a little bio about yourself. I would make sure you have a team in place. I would learn your market really good, because somebody's going to ask you, why do you invest in that market? Tell me what's so good about it. So before you run out and grab a private lender, I would actually understand your market, do some research. Because a lot of people, I could tell you, they come to me for money all the time, and I'm not a big hard money lender out there for people. I do work with right now 3 different companies that I fund their deals for years. So I'm a relationship guy as well. But most people come to me, they don't even know why they're buying a deal. Some wholesaler told them it's a great deal, and all of a sudden it's a great deal. Everything needs $10,000 paint and carpet, and that's it on a 2,500 square foot house. Right. So understand your market. If you don't have the skill set, get yourself a mentor, right? It's so important to have a mentor out there. Find someone in your local market who's doing exactly what you want to do and is great at it, and either pay them or bring them a tremendous amount of value that they're going to work with you for free. I have mentors myself. I have 2 mentors. I pay my mentors a lot of money, and I mentor people as well. I'm ending my one-on-one relationship with mentoring real estate investors, just real estate investors. I'm doing group mentorship now. I still mentor people one-on-one on raising private money. But get yourself a mentor, right? And if you don't have the money for whatever reason, you can't find the money, which my best students are always the ones that don't have the money and come up with it. Bring value to somebody. And I'm sure if somebody went to you, Jim, and said, hey, Jim, I have this tremendous deal. I'm great at finding deals. I'm great at doing everything you don't want to do, but I have trouble finding money. Can I partner with you on this deal if I bring you the deal and I do all this work? Will you mentor me for free, or I'll take 10% of the deal? I'm sure that's something you would do, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So you bring value. The problem is most people don't bring any value. They want to, geez, I tell you what, I tell people I could eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and have coffee for the next year for free if I sat down with everyone and want to pick my brain for coffee.
Oh,
that is just the worst.
That's the worst thing, right? My wife.
I don't know how they're learning this. I don't know who's teaching this to them. I mean, I think we should put something in the elementary schools on providing value and how to treat people. Like, don't tell somebody that you're going to waste 3 hours of my time going somewhere and have coffee with me and pick my brain for free. You're stealing from me. You're stealing my time. All I want is lifestyle by design. That's what I built. Stealing from my students. You're stealing from my family, and I'm doing you a disservice because you won't value what I tell you for free anyway.
That's been the nice thing about coronavirus shut down a little bit is I'm not getting pinged as much for people to sit down and pick my brain, because all the time, just like you're saying, is like all the time.
It is. I mean, think about it. And in the beginning, until you start valuing yourself a lot, you feel guilty for not doing it. You want to help so many. You're not helping people because they're never going to listen to you for free. They just don't. I could tell you, I must have done hundreds and hundreds of those meetings, especially when I used to speak at the local RIAs. All the RIAs, then after the RIA, everyone calls you up and they want to pick your brain. Let me pick your brain for free. And, you do that even if it's an hour. You got to drive there, sit there, drive home. Even if it's an hour, how many of those can you do a day? And everybody wants to do that. And you're not valuing me if you do that to me. So, I used to feel bad. I don't feel bad anymore. Now I actually get upset that people would actually approach me that way, because I wouldn't approach somebody I want to mentor me that way. So that's kind of what I think. But anyway, back to this, what would they do? So I'm giving people, because a lot of the things I get is, well, I don't know, I'm new, right? So I'm giving you that whole I'm new part. I'm giving you the whole part of I don't have money. And you do have money. You could find the money. Listen, because I tell you, the people that came, my most successful people, the people that said they had no money. So they can find money. I had people come to events I've spoken at. They've actually carpooled with people. They've slept on their hotel room floors to hear me speak, so they have money. Or provide a tremendous amount of value to me. And then maybe you could work with me. Maybe you could work for free. So you have that. Put together, and it doesn't cost any money to put together a bio. It doesn't cost any money if you want to put together a questionnaire, right? How do you protect your investors? Okay, that doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost you money to set up meetings with people. It doesn't cost you money to do research in your local area, see who the accredited type investors are, okay, and provide value for them. Right now, you have everyone's quarantined. So we're doing these Zooms, we're doing Google Meetups, we're doing GoToWebinars. You could do that stuff. You could do Facebook Live group. You could do group on Facebook. You can invite people in. You could bring value to them. Think about all the business owners right now. For a good 2 months now, they've been fighting for this SBA EIDL loan, right, or the PPP loan. Well, why don't you just be a connector? Why don't you have an accountant come on, because now you're bringing value to the accountant, or an attorney come on, or a banker come on, and why don't you bring the business owners on, and why don't you have a meeting and provide content and value? Those same business owners, don't you think you could provide value for them for talking about a solo 401k? Don't you think you could provide value for them for teaching them how to pay their kids? Okay, once they learn how to pay their kids tax-free, under 18 years old, up to $12,200 a year each, don't you think you're the expert? Then I'm going to, okay, I put my money into a Roth IRA for my kids or a Coverdell account. Now what do I do with my money? So the problem is you never ask for money. You just provide content. And I always say give to get. And these are the kind of things that we've done over the years. And it doesn't happen overnight. But you need to start today. And you need to stay consistent. And it doesn't have to cost you anything other than some time. So that's where you should be putting your head down and working. And you know what? It's what you're doing, Jim. I'm in the business almost 29 years now. It's what I'm doing. I'm not sitting around watching Netflix. I'm not on Facebook talking about coronavirus. I'm not talking about politics. I'm not doing any of that. I put my head down. I said, you know what? I know it's coming. I'm getting ready for the ramp up. I'm getting ready to raise a lot of money again. I'm getting ready to take down humongous portfolios from banks. And I'm going to be back in it where I could sit around and do nothing right now and just sit on the passive income. But I'm not going to let this. That's when I say I'm not going to let a good pandemic go to waste, because it's coming. Whether I want it,
one more try.
Yeah, whether we want it to or not, it's coming, right?
Yeah. Well, you got to solve the problem. It's going to be a problem for millions of people, I think. So position yourself right now to be the person that solves that problem. And I think it all comes back to having the relationships with people that can provide you with capital. I really liked what you say about giving. You don't have to pitch, market, and sell yourself.
No.
My background's an engineer, so I'm not like a salesperson anyways. I don't like to be pitched and marketed to, but the way you just educate people, pick topics like that and just educate people, and then you will automatically begin to attract capital. I agree with Dan on this point. Position yourself to give, and then you will attract. You give and you attract. So you've got a great YouTube channel. The link's down below, but how can people find that?
They go right to YouTube and they go to Zitofsky Capital Management. That's where it's under. But I would go right to the link, make it nice and easy for them, so they don't have to worry about spelling my name or anything. And what we've done, my YouTube channel is growing, starting to grow nicely. It's not where I wish it would be, but for years I never really used YouTube. All my videos were either emailed out or put on Facebook Live, and the problem I was having with Facebook is obviously they get buried down to the bottom eventually, right? So I've had, for a couple months at least now, I've had people hit me up and it's, I know you did that video on the subject to panel. I know you did a video on how to do your, seller financing to investors, how to do partials, how to do this. And I constantly had to go find it, send it to them. So I told my marketing team, I said, we have to get this YouTube channel going, because then it's there. People can go on there. They can find what they want. And it's all free. Obviously, there's no charge for this stuff. It's free. I love to do this stuff. Yes, I have paid groups. Yes, I have paid mentorships. Yes, I have paid online trainings. But, once again, you have to give to get. And I just feel like I can give a ton of value, a tremendous amount of free content, and it allows me to get it out to the masses rather than having 10 cups of coffee a day and spending, all my time away from my wife and my kids and my students and my business. Like you're like me, Jim, and we know some of the same people. We give back, and yes, we do mentor and we coach, but we're in the business. We're not one of these people that just code. We are in the business day in and day out. So like I said, I'm spending all my time now working with asset managers, working with my lenders, working with groups. I'm doing everything I do for my business to build my business. Now, what I'm teaching people is exactly how I built my business and how I'm doing it today. Things change. That's why even our Raising Private Money training, we had a 1.0, 2.0. Now I'm already working on 3.0 for the last 2 months already. Just updating things. As I'm making changes, I'm updating, and then we give it all to our students. We're constantly updating. We're constantly trying to be, show people how things change, what we're doing, because, things do change. Programs do change. Industries change. So, but one thing we are laser focused on, no matter what, everyone that knows about me says passive wealth. I mean, even my book is Passive to Prosperous. It's living a prosperous life by passive income. I stay away from transactional income as much as I possibly could. So I'm not a big fix and flipper. I do it here and there. But if a property lands on my plate, or a note I buy lands on my plate because I buy a pool of non-performing notes, if there's stuff I don't like, I get rid of it. I sell it. So that would be transactional. But I do it because I want to take the other properties and assets or notes and turn them into passive income. And generally, I like to do it by becoming the bank. I love seller financing to investors. I love working on partials. I love doing collateral assignments. I love getting those note payments coming in every month for doing nothing. But I also believe you have to be an active investor. You need to have a portfolio for yourself. Because as most people they love getting those payoffs. I can't stand getting payoffs. I like those payments coming in every month.
You like mailbox money, not payoffs. I got it. And if somebody wants to grab your cheat sheet on 7 steps to invest, is it best just to go to your Facebook group, Become a Real Estate Investor with Dan Zitofsky?
No, they can go right to, they can go to the link. I shared the link here at passivewealthacademy.com/42K. They go to that, they'll get it. If they get into the group, our marketing team will mail that. If they put their email address, they'll mail it to them as well. It's once again, I wrote it. It's not, I didn't pull it off anyone else. It's just a quick cheat sheet. We give it away every time we speak on stage at an event. We try to give it away, to give a free gift to people. So being that we're here now, we made it a link so people can just grab it for themselves and read it. It's quick.
Great. So give us a quick summary of the 7 steps. What are they going to get when they download this? What's sort of in there? What's the summary?
I'll show them right now.
We're going to see it on YouTube. If you're on iTunes, you got to go to YouTube to see this.
Yeah. So when they're on there, it's basically like this. It's going to be how much you're willing to invest, know the types of real estate investments you get, choose the investment type you want. You have to be laser focused on knowing exactly what type of real estate you want. The target market is very important. Your team is going to be very important, and your investment goals and strategies, how you protect your investors. So it's going to be like this. It's 6, 7 pages. It's nothing tremendous.
Easy to digest and easy to implement.
Yes.
That's a winning download. All right, Dan, any final success tips for the real estate investors that haven't maybe been through a recession before, like buckle up? What's going to come? What do they need to do right now?
What they need to do right now is like I said in this thing, they really have to put down their head, don't take the easy route. The easy route used to be hard money lenders, maybe banks. Really figure out put together a Raising Private Money package. And the package could be like your bio. Put a PowerPoint presentation together. So when you do calls like this, you could do a PowerPoint presentation to show investors type of deals you did, who's on your team, how you're protecting them, where you're investing, who you are. Those are important. And just really go out there and be intentional. Okay, very intentional about raising private money. So who do you want to work with, right? Do you want to work with real estate investors? I don't. Those are the murky waters. I want to work with people that are really passive. Your business owners, your doctors, your accredited type investors that don't want to get involved in the daily activities of real estate, right? They don't want to, because real estate investors are not going to be interested in funding your deals at 6 to 8%. They want to see, 12 to 20% return on their money. And that just doesn't work. So when I say that, be intentional, get out of the murky waters, stay out of the murky waters. Okay. So think about that, put a plan together, spend money on your team, have an attorney, have an accountant, make your documentation, like I said, make your documentation look good like that, make your documentation look good like this. Be intentional about that and build a business around this, because if you do, you're going to go very far in this. You're going to be able to take advantage of any opportunity that comes your way at any given time.
All right, great opportunities coming. I really appreciate it, but I want to respect your time. I don't want to pick your brain all day. I really appreciate it. Great insight on to private capital, relational capital today, and preparing for what's coming, because great opportunities are coming, and those relationships are what going to position you to be active and on the field making deals when everyone else is sitting on the sidelines burying their head in the sand. I really believe it. So thanks for sharing that. Click through all those links today. Connect with Dan. He's a great guy. Highly recommend that you do that, and you'll really get a lot out of it because he's a giver. Dan, thanks so much for being on our podcast today.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you and all your group. Thanks for all you do.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for tuning in, sharing this content. Leave your questions and comments, click through the links, and we'll see you again very soon.